Millions of Americans who depend on Social Security to keep a roof over their heads and food on their tables are facing a new problem that few expected. Recent federal updates confirm that payment delays for supplemental security income and Social Security disability insurance are affecting households across the country. For many, this is not just a small inconvenience. It is the difference between paying rent on time or falling behind, keeping the lights on, or facing late fees, filling a prescription, or going without much-needed medicine. When a payment arrives even a few days late, the ripple effects can create stress and financial pressure that is hard to recover from, especially for older adults or people with disabilities who have little or no savings to fall back on. The Social Security Administration has acknowledged that delays are happening for certain payments, especially for those using direct deposit into smaller banks or credit unions. In some cases, benefits that were expected on the 25th of September 2025 did not arrive until 2 or even 3 business days later. Officials have explained that while the funds are being released on schedule, the holdup often happens during the processing stage between federal disbursement and financial institutions crediting individual accounts. This may sound like a small technical matter, but for someone living on $1,320 a month, waiting even 2 days can mean bounced checks, overdraft fees, and a refrigerator that stays empty until the money clears. For recipients of supplemental security income, who typically receive their benefits on the first of each month, this situation has been particularly difficult. Many were counting on their October 1st payment to cover essential bills, but due to the weekend and banking delays, some did not see funds until the 3rd or even 4th of October. The Social Security Administration has stated that it is working closely with financial institutions to reduce these interruptions, but the responsibility often falls on the recipient to monitor accounts, call their bank, and wait in uncertainty. Imagine the stress for a 70-year-old widow who depends on that check to pay for her heart medication. She wakes up early on the 1st of the month, checks her account balance, and sees nothing. The anxiety builds as hours pass, and the bills pile up on the kitchen table. Disability beneficiaries are feeling the same frustration. Payments that are scheduled according to birthdays, such as on the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th Wednesday of the month, have been arriving later than expected in certain regions. A man in Ohio shared that his SSDI payment due on the 11th of September did not arrive until the 15th. He had already scheduled his rent payment for the 12th, which caused a chain reaction of late fees and penalties. For someone unable to work due to illness or injury, these costs cut deep, and recovering from them is nearly impossible. These are not isolated stories. Reports from Texas, California, and Florida all echo the same concern. The payments are being processed, but the timing is not reliable. Federal officials remind recipients that the Social Security trust funds remain secure, and benefits themselves are not being cut. However, the delay in delivery highlights just how vulnerable millions of Americans are when they rely on a system that is efficient most of the time, but fragile when even small disruptions occur. The Department of the Treasury has noted that banking holidays, weekends, and technical errors can all push back the date funds appear. They advise beneficiaries to allow up to 3 business days before contacting Social Security, but for those who live paycheck to paycheck, 3 days can feel like an eternity. Some advocacy groups are urging Congress to step in and ensure that beneficiaries are protected from late fees, overdraft charges, or service shutoffs caused by delayed federal payments. They argue that when the government promises a payment on a certain date, Americans should not be penalized when the system fails to deliver on time. Discussions are underway about whether banks should be required to release funds immediately upon notification of incoming federal benefits rather than waiting until the next processing cycle. While no legislative changes have yet been passed, pressure is building as more stories come to light about families caught in financial limbo. To understand the human impact, consider the example of a retired couple in Arizona. They receive supplemental security income totaling $1,700 each month. Their rent is due on the 1st, their electricity bill on the 2nd, and their phone bill on the 3rd. When their payment was delayed until the 4th of September, they had no choice but to borrow money from a payday lender to avoid eviction. By the time their benefits arrived, nearly $100 of that payment had already been swallowed by interest and fees. This is the painful reality of payment delays, not just dates on a calendar, but lives thrown into chaos. For those who may be experiencing delays, Social Security recommends signing up for direct deposit if you are still receiving paper checks, as mailed payments are more vulnerable to disruptions. For those already using direct deposit, contacting your financial institution is the first step when a payment has not arrived. In cases where the bank confirms that no deposit is pending, calling Social Security directly is advised. Unfortunately, the wait times to speak with a representative can be long, sometimes exceeding 1 hour, which adds to the stress of an already difficult situation. The reality is that Americans over 50 have spent decades paying into this system with the expectation that benefits would arrive on time every time. Delays undermine that trust and create unnecessary hardship for people who deserve stability. The current situation serves as a reminder that while the program itself is strong, the delivery system needs modernization and accountability. Reliable payments are not a luxury. They are a necessity for survival. It is more important than ever to stay informed, to share information with friends and family who might be experiencing these delays, and to be aware of both federal updates and local banking policies that could impact the timing of benefits. Social Security is not charity. It is a right earned through years of contributions. Every recipient deserves not only the promise of benefits, but the assurance that they will arrive when needed most. By staying engaged, by raising awareness, and by demanding accountability, Americans can help ensure that these delays do not become the new normal. If this update has been helpful, consider supporting this channel by liking the video and subscribing. Staying informed is one of the most powerful tools we have, especially when it comes to protecting benefits that millions rely on each month. The more people who understand what is happening, the harder it becomes for problems like these to be ignored. Social Security is too important to be left uncertain, and your voice, your attention, and your awareness can make a difference for yourself and for others. Another important factor behind these delays is the growing reliance on aging technology within federal payment systems. While the Social Security Administration processes nearly 70 million benefit payments every month, much of the infrastructure that supports these transactions was built decades ago. Experts warn that as the number of recipients continues to grow, the system is straining under the weight of demand. Modernization projects are underway, but they take time, and until new systems are fully operational, small glitches and slowdowns can continue to cause frustration for millions of recipients. The emotional toll of payment uncertainty is often overlooked. For individuals managing chronic illness or disability, stability is not a luxury but a lifeline. Financial stress has been linked to worsening health outcomes, higher rates of anxiety, and even hospitalization. When a payment is late, the consequences extend beyond the checkbook. A missed medication refill, a postponed doctor's visit, or a skipped meal can set off a chain of challenges that no senior or disabled American should be forced to endure after decades of contribution to the workforce. The promise of Social Security was designed to prevent exactly this kind of hardship, which makes these delays especially painful. At the community level, churches, food pantries, and local organizations have reported a noticeable uptick in emergency requests for help during weeks when delays occur. Volunteers in North Carolina described more seniors coming in and asking for grocery support when their Social Security payments had not arrived on time. In Detroit, a disability advocacy group set up a small fund to help members cover urgent bills while waiting for deposits to clear. These grassroots responses show both the resilience of local communities and the seriousness of the problem. Americans are stepping up to help one another, but the larger question remains: how long will recipients have to carry the burden of an unreliable payment system?